Today we are making Jinxuan tea, a type of oolong tea originating from Taiwan. It has a milky flavor and is very popular among Chinese people. Oolong tea is the collective name for all partially fermented teas. Just as black tea is the general term for fully fermented tea, green tea is the general term for unfermented tea. The teapot should only be filled from a fifth to a third of the way full, because oolong tea leaves come as small compacted balls. In the hot water, the tea leaves will unfold, so we need to leave space in the teapot for the unfolding. For oolong tea, the water temperature for steeping should be about 80 degrees to 90 degrees Celsius. The first step is to wash the tea leaves with hot water. This is called the warm soak. The washed water is discarded and not consumed. This type of tea making is called gongfu tea. Taiwan does not have a formal tea ceremony like Japan. However, for guests and friends, people do what is called 老人 tea, or gongfu tea, which is something like afternoon tea for the British. Gongfu tea can be steeped 4 to 5 times per serving, where each steep beyond the second will take an additional 10 seconds longer than the previous steep, in order to compensate for the declining strength of the tea leaves. Next, hot water is added for the first steep, which will take about 50 to 60 seconds. This type of red clay pot that we're using is used for making oolong tea. However, people usually use purple clay pots. It is more suited for making fully fermented teas. In contrast, this red tea pot is suited for making lightly fermented tea because of its higher density material. The host first pours the tea into a scenting cup. The guests themselves pour the tea from the scenting cup into the drinking cup. The scenting cup is taller and thinner. Guests use it to warm their hands and smell the fragrance before they drink. In addition to drinking tea, smelling the aroma of the tea is also enjoyable. Moreover, teas can give off different aromas depending on their temperature. For example, this kind of roasted tea can smell sweet when it has cooled down. After savoring the fragrance, take a sip and let the tea roll over your tongue. The act of tasting tea is similar to that of tasting wine and coffee. The second steep is shortened a bit because the tea leaves have already unfolded. This steep takes about 40 seconds. In order to maintain the temperature of the water, especially during the winter, hot water is flushed over the outside of the teapot while waiting for the tea to steep. These are tea snacks, often pastries and sweets, which neutralize the bitterness of the tea. In addition to enhancing the ambiance of the meeting, they help add variety to the tea drinking process, fill up the slight hunger caused by the tea, and avoid tea drunkenness, the dizziness and heart palpitations caused by drinking tea on an empty stomach.